the funny thing is, like, in a sense, I think before, maybe before Clinton, the Chinese would probably even prefer Republicans than to Democrats, I think.
That's because of Nixon. That's because of Nixon.
That's an interesting dynamic. Well, go with that. Explore that.
Well, Nixon, of course, was a big reason.
He was a Republican,
exactly, and who opened the door.
And I've read many explanations of that, but give me your take on it. Why is that? Why would they actually prefer to deal with
one is the Nixon history, and two is Republican here, as well as back home in the U.S., has always been more viewed as more pro-business. So they're all about making money. Of course, less ideologically kind of, I guess, aggressive in terms of human rights, labor rights, and that kind of thing. So the Chinese, in that sense, would rather deal with them about,
they're talking
doing
the same
business,
language,
pragmatic
instead of cooperation,
other ideological issues.
Putting that into context, I would say once again, the Chinese and China in general would owe a huge debt of gratitude to the Republican government since President Richard Nixon. Remember, during the Cold War, I mean, China actually almost went to war with the former Soviet Union in 1969. There was almost like atomic kind of surgical kind of attack on China. But then it was Nixon, it was Henry Kissinger, that team who came over to China and said, we will assure you that the U.S. will be on your side. And that was a huge kind of debt of gratitude on the part of the Chinese people. People remembered him. And oftentimes, I mean, when Nixon was such a huge, notorious bad name in the United States, but whereas in China, he was always the old friend of the Chinese people.
But this time Obama is coming in a very different, although he's a Democratic president, he's coming at a time where issues of strategic importance, trade, loom much larger than human rights did. In the 90s, you couldn't escape the specter of Tiananmen Square and other sorts of things. And then after 8 years of George Bush, those things have been pushed to the side. So Obama, unless he actively brings them up with great effort, those things are already sort of off the radar screen, right? So essentially he's dealing with China in the same terms as any Republican president, with the emphasis on trade, stability.
That's right, but he's also trying to get some concessions, I think, out of China on these issues, especially on the economic and trade front. Considering China now is the largest holder of the U.S. Treasury bond, and also the trade imbalance continues in terms of the huge trade surplus they enjoy over the U.S. But I think, reading their joint statement and hearing what they have said during the press conference, it seems like the U.S. really haven't gotten much concrete kind of concessions from China on these fronts.
No, and they downplayed it, didn't they? No one really expected much out of this. I mean, it's only 2 days. How much could they possibly have gotten done anyway? Did you get the sense that there was absolutely nothing, that they weren't even expecting to get anything accomplished here other than clinking glasses, really?
I think they were hopeful, but they were also not surprised if nothing actually, no breakthroughs actually happened. So, but still, I think from the perspective of the American people, it was rather lots of pageantries and a lot of pomp and ceremony.
It was mainly ceremonial.
Substance.
Ceremonial. The one moment you had the Shanghai